I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Weiss?
Mrs. Borchers?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Fox?
Here.
Mrs. Packard?
Here.
Mr. Reddick?
Here.
At this moment, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for Sally Adams. Sally passed away on April 6, 2025, at the age of 76. She taught kindergarten for many years in the Troy City schools at Cookson, Forest, and Van Cleve. Thank you. At this moment, I am going to ask for board committee reports. Levi, do you have anything from Upper Valley?
Yeah, so Upper Valley, the construction projects, as of our last meeting, at the end of March, it was 32% complete and on pace to target November 1st completion date for that project. So excited for that, excited for the ceremonies that we'll have in December up there at the Career Center in terms of like a open house type of ceremony. Also, we had a amazing presentation. Typically, I update us on Troy students, but this presentation that we had from a student this last month was Hannah Weldy. She's from Sydney High School. She's a senior in cosmetology, and what Hannah's done, she's a senior right now. She has already obtained her associates from Edison, and prior to starting her senior year back in September, August, she had already obtained her bachelor's from Franklin University. So it was just really impressive. I don't know any student that's done such a thing like that. That's in addition to studying and passing her cosmetology boards. No surprise, she was the first in her cosmetology class this year to also get the boards completed. So.
And I feel like, is she on track or volleyball or something? She's also an athlete.
She also did extracurriculars, so she's in track right now. I forget what other sports that she did. Maybe it's volleyball as well. But I couldn't imagine how anyone has time to do all of that from 15 to 18 years old. But I was so impressed. I wanted to share that with everyone, even though she's not a Troy student. But yeah, that's Hannah Weldy from Sydney.
Sarah, anything from Hannah?
I did get to participate in the Hannah board, which is a new thing for me. I've been to a couple meetings and it's going really well. It's a very nice group of people, but what they're working on right now is planning out their summer events. So there's about 6 or 7 of them right now that they're really, really working on, and they're trying to hone in dates and actual events and what to do. So that's something we'll probably talk about on Thursday. In addition to that, on in November, they have their 0.85 mil levy. So that's been the big topic of conversation, and the marketing and the signage and how to approach that. When I talked to them, they seemed a little surprised when they weren't quite aware of the fact that I think there's a lot of people in the community that don't really know that they have access to the Hainer, and there's a whole niche of people that could really access the Hainer and use it. So I think they're going to go with the theme for their election, It's Your Building. So if you start seeing those signs around town and you question what that is, it's called It's Your Building, because they're trying to convey the message that everyone in the community can use this. This isn't just a bunch of people that have been here forever and they're using it for whatever they feel. So that's primarily what they're working on, and we have a meeting every month to try to get that passed. That's it.
All right. Anything else? Okay. And so, best part of the night, Mr. Ayers, would you like to introduce your group? Well, your group.
So we have a few students from some of Forest's finest of our student council. So I'm going to turn it over to them. I think it's been student council season. I think you got to hear from most of the student councils this year, and on the rotation it happened to be the same way for us. So we're going to turn it over to Sarah Packer as the advisor. She said she just wants to be the clicker. So we'll let her run the slideshow from the back. if you three want to go ahead and stand up, then you guys can get started.
I'm Piper and I'm a fifth grade representative. We have three third grade representatives. They are Anna, Carly, and Meadow. We have four fourth grade representatives. I'm Lily and I am a fourth grade representative. Tori, Dean, and Son are also representatives from fourth grade.
We have seven fifth grade representatives. I'm Jordan and I am a fifth grade representative. Liberty, Piper, Xander, Bella, Ariana, and Riley are also fifth grade representatives.
We have activities each month. In September, students filled out applications and got voted on. In October, we had our first meeting where we got to know each other and did team building activities. In November, we did a food box drive for the community food boxes. We collected 16 big boxes to donate. In December, we sold candygrams or candy canes. Students bought them and sent them to classmates and teachers. We sold over 720 candy canes in a week. In January, we opened the student store. We have the student store on Friday mornings. Students can buy different types of school supplies and stickers.
In February, we helped prep for Kindness Week at Forest. We organized suckers, pencils with labels, and fruit snacks that we were handing out throughout the week.
This month, we wrote handwritten notes to all of the staff at Forest. These will be used for Teacher Appreciation Week at the beginning of May. In May, we'll have our end of the year party and help get it ready for funding. This is a review of all of our monthly activities. Are there any questions?
Wow. So who decides on what the activities are? Do you guys?
Sometimes it's a collaboration between things student council has done in the past, or things like Kindness Week is something that the counselor typically runs, so they kind of piggyback and help join that. Teacher Appreciation Week is something they've done for a long time, so that's always that first week of May. So student council's always done something there to help recognize staffs.
Yeah, we started at the end of May, helping get stuff ready for field day. Mrs. Hewitt just recently asked if student council would be part of our concert, our spring concert. Instead of her getting up and speaking, they're gonna get up and have parts to speak,
Wow. That's pretty cool.
So how often do you meet with each other to plan and organize your activities?
About every month.
Every month?
What made you want to be on student council?
I want to be on student council because I like helping out a lot, and I just wanted to help out the school. I wanted to represent my school.
Me too.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time that you spent. I know it's extra time and extra work, but that's great. We have your helping all the other students like that.
Would you be willing to introduce us to who came with you tonight? Thank you.
I came with my mom. I came with my grandma.
I came with my mom and my little sister.
Ah.
Well, thank you so much for bringing them.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation and for what you do for your school.
And so just that community food box thing that they do too. A lot of schools, I think, do fundraisers or food drives around November for the holidays. And she had partnered with, was it Maya Dilbum, is that her name, that started the food box things a long time ago. So we were able to fill 16 of those.
Wow.
From donations that came through. So it was pretty awesome.
Very
And then they get to see that go in, like staff members get to put those things in, or families help, and so you get direct input into, the kids see those boxes around the neighborhood. So it's a great thing that they do to support our community.
Do we have one of those boxes on site, the Forest?
We do not. We have a little library out in front of the school. We do not have a community food box now.
But there's how many would you say are in your school district
I
there?
want to say that there's either 14 or 16 in Troy alone, and then I think there's a few in Pitt City as well. I could be wrong about that. But we definitely had extra to go back and fill a couple of them.
Yeah,
So.
awesome.
That's
And
great.
it's great from a parent standpoint, like we've got to deliver to different, I've never been in St. Pat's kitchen before, and just hearing the stories, like they were very grateful for the food. It was great to visit these places too.
That's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. You are all welcome to stay. You do not have to. We
It's
really
pretty
do appreciate
exciting,
your-
but-
Enjoy the weather outside.
Yes.
Today. Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Great job,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. Dr. Moore?
Didn't do a very good job tonight, though. Anybody in attendance like to address our Board of Education?
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you. At this time, I'm asking for a motion for consideration of the approval of the minutes of the meeting from Monday, March 10th, and Exhibit A.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkins.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Are there any notes on those minutes?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Next, a motion to approve for the financial reports in Exhibit B for March 25 SM2, monthly total revenues, expenditures, balance, schedule of revenues, expenditures, 5-year forecast, etc. A motion to look at those, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis.
We continue to track rather well as we head to the finish line of the fiscal year 25. We've also been monitoring the activity in Columbus with the governor's proposal and the House approved budget for the next biennial budget for the state of Ohio. With the governor's proposal, for us as a school district, his proposal affected us negatively to the tune of $2.2 million plus over the 2-year budget. The House version, as it was voted out, benefited us, however slightly, to about $157,000 over the biennial budget in a positive way. So we are anxiously awaiting what the Senate decides, and then obviously I don't foresee them agreeing with the House proposed budget, so there'll be a conference committee and all. Before it's said and done, we will be at the end of June, most likely, before
I was going to ask what it looks.
we know what's been passed, and then it'll be several days later before simulation, and we know the true details.
After the May
Following
forecast.
that.
Right.
Yes, after the May forecast. To highlight a little bit of what the House passed, they are also limiting the cash carryover associated with our general fund. Every school district in Ohio would be limited to, what they approved was 30%. We don't know what type of formula that involves, what they're specifically looking at, or how that could be adjusted somewhat.
30% of what? 1 year's operating expenses, roughly?
Yes, yes. Yep. They also gave that if you are above that 30%, they have passed the decision-making off to the Board of Revisions at the county level to adjust the next year's tax collections downward to get us back within that 30% carryover.
Can you repeat that? I want to make sure I understood.
If a school district is above the 30% threshold of a carryover, they would adjust the next tax year's collections downward to get the district back within that 30% limit.
Well, that is very,
And that would be decided at the county level.
so what they're basically encouraging people to do is spend so that they get the, I mean, that's kind of stupid.
Potentially, yes. And I was in Columbus last week for the professional organization annual conference, and all this came about and was voted out of the House while we were in Columbus. The leadership of my professional organization called what they called a super session. We gathered at 3:30 one afternoon following that approval, so they could give us the highlights and explain some things to us. Several districts were concerned with the 30%. Depending upon what you spend at various times and where you are as far as tax collections go, if you ask for advances or not, you may be in a situation where you have no cash in hand to meet the need for that month. So with those districts, they potentially need more than 30% carryover at the beginning of the fiscal year in order to meet those months of January, February, till the money starts flowing from the county auditor back to the school district as far as property taxes go.
What do we generally carry over?
We are currently sitting at about 36%, just above 4 months.
We'll say, that's why we were targeting
Yes.
3 months, so
Yep.
we're sitting about 4 months right now.
That's what your target, that's what I was just looking at, the 5-year forecast. It
Yes.
looks like carryover forecast is what? Is it the 19 or is it 21? Is it cash balance or is it either one? But I just saw, and then our expenses were what, 57 or 58, so thanks for asking that
We're
question
right
and
around that
answering
4
it.
month
Yeah.
period where we've tried to be, so.
But we won't even know that part.
We won't
until-
know where everything ends up till most likely excuse me, right at the end of June.
And when do we don't we have to set don't we have a June financial closing?
Well,
Yes.
that's for
That
that.
won't affect that.
That
at
won't
all,
affect
correct?
that,
Okay,
no,
thank
no.
you.
Won't affect that.
That's
But we have a 5-year forecast to mandatory update in May.
That's the May, thank you. I was
Yes.
getting the June and the May. Excuse me, but thank you.
Also, with the House approval of their proposal was reducing the 5-year forecast from 5 years to 3 years,
Yeah, I would have to applaud.
which helps projection-wise
Yeah,
a
I
little
would have to
bit.
applaud that as
but-
well.
Versus just throwing darts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would be really great if they could have a formula like they really originally proposed, and they would, know what's coming instead of this.
That's
Oh,
another-
wait, it's August or April 14th, and I still don't know what my budget next year is going to be. That's
That
ridiculous.
is another component. The House, although early in the budget proposal made the statement that they were completing the phase-in of the Fair School Funding Plan, later on in their proposal, it states that they will not fund us according to that formula.
Feels like
It would be
double talk.
illegal for them to
So we will, but we
continue
won't.
the funding via that formula. So how they're going to fund us, we don't know
Which
at this
is
point.
so stupid. Pardon my French,
So
but
more to come.
So the ball's in the Senate's court right now to come
Yes.
up with a proposal.
They're-
They take the
they are
House's proposal?
They are currently on about a 2-week hiatus. But when they come back in session, it'll be in the Senate's hands.
And do they take the House's or do they take their
They
last?
they typically propose their own and have discussion and adjust and come up with some final proposal to vote on.
Okay, then after the Senate, does it go straight to the
Goes back
governor? or
to-
does
It
gotta
goes
go
to a
back?
conference committee.
Okay,
of Senate
because they're not
and
going to
House.
all agree.
Yes. most likely they will. I'm not aware that the two groups ever agreeing at that point. So
Well, okay,
So more to come
more
once
to
we
come.
know.
Yes,
Thank you.
But it has to be done by,
by law by June 30th, but they've been known not to be done by June 30th at times. So time will tell.
Thanks for that
Thank you, Mr.
update.
Price.
So
It's
that's
always-
a very broad
Yeah.
highlight.
well, it's a good level that you've provided that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding the financial reporting?
No.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Mr. Reddick,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mrs. Borchers,
Yes.
Mrs. Packard.
Yes. Next, a motion for then and now. These are items that provide that if the prior certification of funds by the fiscal officer was not obtained before the contract or order involving the expenditure of money, as described above, the fiscal officer may instead certify.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Borchers.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Mr. Price, is there anything on?
To highlight that list, a couple from the athletic department, one from the high school, the junior high, Cookson, and Hayner.
Any questions? Mr. Price?
Mrs. Borchers,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Reddick,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mrs. Packard.
Yes. Next, motion for the bids on partial roof replacement at the high school. Sealed bids were accepted by the treasurer until 1 on Wednesday, April 2nd, which time they're opened and publicly read. 6 qualifying bids were received, and an appropriate bid bond accompanied all. May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Borchers.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick.
We actually utilize a slightly different bidding program this time around. We utilize state contract pricing. There is a firm that has all of the state contract data, and they make contact with the state-approved contractors. We've had some issues in probably 2 of the last 3 years as far as the low bidders completing the work in a timely manner and a manner that does not open us up weather-wise throughout the project. We had several concerns with our last summer's low bidder throughout our project last year. In fact, we still have not signed off on the project
I was
to date.
wondering who it was. I can't remember.
It is American Roofing out of Cincinnati, Louisville area. They are actually the ones that we have had a couple issues with, but not enough to rule them out. At this point, we feel we probably could, but we didn't want to go down that road, so we chose this method. And we have 3 very quality bidders that proposed for our project, and we are not adding the alternate bid area for next summer's project. It is the this main hallway from this point clear to the main entry to the north of the high school. And it's to the tune of just over $349,000 for that section only. So
That's gonna,
that leaves us with this hallway here along the gym roof, and the kitchen roof remaining on this structure. before
that
it's
won't impact
entirely.
them taking the stuff down,
No, it will not. Nope.
abating, whatever you call
No.
it.
Jeff, I think there might need to be a correction here, because I see in the very last sentence, right before the roll call, it lists American Roofing. But a little higher up, I see it list Enterprise
Yes, it should
Roofing,
be
the lower.
Enterprise Roofing,
Okay.
yes. We'll make that change.
So American chose not to bid on this
Well,
project, right?
they are not on the
Oh,
state-approved
state.
list, so they weren't even contacted.
And this is, previously, a few months ago, we rejected the bids, right? Because they weren't competitive. Is this the same project?
No,
No.
no. That was the fuel tank
Oh, the fuel tank, okay.
project early last summer that we threw out and then rebid later in the summer. That project is still open too. We are waiting on a control board for the operating system. As soon as that's received, that will be installed. Training will occur and we'll be able to use it. But that project was also delayed with tank arrival and the manufacturing of the tank itself.
Okay, sorry, the
So-
timing, I can't
Yes.
keep everything
Lot
straight
of
from
things
9
going
months
on.
ago.
Lot of things going on.
Are we holding retainage on that American?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Final documentation, and I think they still have a couple punch list items. So,
So through of the three, Enterprise, Cotterman, and Maxim, the recommendation is Enterprise?
Enterprise, yes, they are the low bid. We use Cotterman for some roof repair at times with our Tremco roofs that we've had in the district. Maxim Roofing we've had on this facility in the past. And Enterprise is very reputable. Work with them in other districts. Don't think they've been in this district for quite some time.
I just want to throw it out there. I've got a business that does work with roofers. None of these, I don't have any relationship. I've never worked with any of these in the past. I can't say I won't in the future, but my vote's going to reflect that.
Okay.
And just to point out, this project will come out of the Permanent Improvement
Yes.
Fund, which voters approved the renewal of that last year. And this project in and of itself will come in at just under half of what our annual receipts are.
Yeah, we're just under $800,000 annual revenue for that levy, and this is $350,000 of that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that additional information. Any other comments? Okay, Mr. Price?
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Abstain.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Okay, motion regarding the superintendent's report, please. This is a resolution accepting gifts to the Troy City School District and expressing thanks on behalf of the Board of Education. May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Mr. Piper?
Second best part of our board meetings. After the kids' presentations, we get to accept the generous donations of our community. And you'll notice there's, again, quite a range here from donations to send kids on field trips to providing scholarship funds. So we appreciate all of our donations each month. Our April total is $3,082.59, and our fiscal year to date is $181,696.45.
We do have a wonderful community that supports our schools.
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Next, for everyone in attendance, just for information, these are policies that we will be voting on, and then there are 2 additional policies that will be voted separately. May I have a motion to go over the first set, please, for new or revised policies? Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Mr.
So-
Piper, is there anything?
Last month, I walked us through all the various policies here. I'm happy to answer any additional questions you may have, but I would just recommend you approve them as presented, unless there's questions.
I don't think I had any questions on these. Are there any questions on these, on the first group?
No, a lot of good policies, excited to get these implemented.
Mr. Price?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Next, these are two policies that we will discuss separately. Motion to review, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Borchers.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick. Mr. Piper, do you want to start the conversation?
I think that's most appropriate to answer any questions that there may be about these policies. We kind of walked through them last time, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, so I previously it was I think it was November, December 2023, when we talked about policy 5113, the open enrollment policy. I voted not to approve that one at that time, and due to some of the racial language in the policy, that language is still there. So that's why I asked for these policies to be voted on separately. The language that I have a concern with, where it says promoting, it talks about racial balance, and
I have 5120 or 5113. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right one.
Yeah, 5113.
Starting with 5113.
Okay, thank you.
So, what it states in here, and that my concern is that the school can tell a child based on the color of their skin that they can open enroll to another school. I don't feel that that's right at all. And I just want to read section B3, where it says procedures to ensure that the district maintains an appropriate racial balance in its schools. Specifically, the board reserves the right to object to the open enrollment of a district student to another district in order to maintain an appropriate racial balance. So I read that as saying we could tell, in racial balance, there's a definition of racial balance. It refers to minorities classified as African American, Asian American, Hispanic, and Native American students. And balance refers to the percentage of racial students in the school district, classroom or school district program, classroom or school. So I read this policy that says if we got to a point in Troy schools where we didn't have, I'll just use quotes, enough African Americans or Asian Americans or Hispanic or Native Americans, we could tell that student they could not leave Troy schools and open enroll at another school district. That's how I'm understanding it. If I'm understanding that differently, please let me know. If I'm understanding it correctly, please explain to me why everyone would want to accept that policy.
This is not intra-district from one district to another. This is within our district.
Well, it says inter.
There's two policies.
I always get these two mixed up.
I did as well, and perhaps 2 years
And
ago
we-
when I voted no was intra. This
Yeah.
one says inter.
Okay, you're right. We can't deny a student leaving us. If they're able to enroll in other districts, and we can't stop that process.
We can deny a student coming into our
We
district.
could, yes, but not leaving.
Okay.
So this policy has to do with a child coming into Troy City Schools.
Yeah, and just a note on the racial balance thing. This is in state statute, which is why it's in the policy. We're required by the state law to have that in our policy.
I think we talked about this one-on-one
Right.
quite a bit in depth.
Yeah.
Because I looked at this policy too, and I was like, I told him as a parent, I said, this policy doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it from the outside, but then when you broke it down a little bit differently, it makes sense, because I took it, and maybe I'm saying this wrong as well, I took it the same way you did, like we would move students around to complete racial balance. Is that the way you're taking it, Levi?
No, that would be intra-district.
Yeah, you're correct.
And we have a different policy on
Yeah,
that. And
you're
I
right.
think that may have been the one that we talked about a year and a half or 2 years
2
ago.
years ago?
Where I also voted no on that. I don't agree with that. This is inter between Troy and Piqua, or Troy and Mime East, or something like that.
Yeah.
And to me, it doesn't matter if it's a student coming into our district, that we could prevent them from joining our district, or that we could prevent a student from leaving our district. Whatever it says in here, I don't think that that decision should be based on race. I appreciate that you shared the Ohio Revised Code that states that that is part of the Ohio Revised Code. However, I'm very happy right now to take a stance that if the Ohio Revised Code says something that I don't believe is right, I'm willing to stand up and say I don't believe that's right, and have and not accept that policy and us be in violation of that. The same way that many years ago people stood up and said that Jim Crow laws were illegal and shouldn't have happened, and slavery 150 or 70 years ago. There were laws that said that that was legal, and people stood up and said no. I'm not trying to compare myself to someone who stopped slavery, but I don't think that the color of any student's skin should dictate what building or what school district they go to, no matter what the Ohio law says.
So my first question is, what is the practice? What do we do if we were to ever deny what are the reasons we would have today of denying a student to be open enrolled?
Program being full. Yeah.
That's what I think. That's pretty much it, right?
I think the policy is designed for districts that have schools with a lot of disparity between. You may have like one school with a heavy black population, another school with a heavy white population in the same district. It's what it's designed for. So Ohio statute covers all schools in Ohio. We don't have schools like that. As far as the process itself, I can't answer that. I've never seen a student denied because of this issue anywhere. Not saying it never happens anywhere, but it hasn't happened anywhere I've been.
So I'm kind of torn a little bit. Like A, I didn't think that was our practice, and B, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with that. I think yeah, everybody should be able to open enroll wherever, no matter what. I mean, that shouldn't be a factor.
Yeah,
either there's room or there's not. One or the other.
Ours is just numbers.
Yeah, but I also have a little concern about us violating the. I mean, I feel like we've been through that part before, where I had a little concern about that being the state law and we're violating state law, because I'm not exactly sure what the repercussions of that are.
Well, and do we know this, as that interpretation, the spirit of this, I'm guessing, is to not create an all-white school and an all-white.
Yeah, that's
Is that the spirit
Right.
of, I'm assuming some things here.
to achieve racial balance. Yeah.
And then
a particular community may decide within themselves somehow to create a school of, white versus other races if they, I don't know how they do that.
It's to avoid that, yeah.
It's to avoid that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that happens, but.
I think one of your emails stated, did you say they were working on, and maybe I misread this, that they were working on tweaking this and cleaning this up?
That was from Neola, who's our policy rep.
Right.
They were speculating that this state statute we're talking about might change. There's no guarantee if it will or it won't, but I think they were speculating that it might.
In the near future? That's all you got?
Yeah. It's kind of like goes with the budget, you may get it in July or you may get it in August. It's just whenever
Right.
they so choose, they kind of do their own thing.
Well, and then it looks like they tacked on because I think we can all agree about the enrollment of a student of a military family.
Yeah.
They added that on, so that makes it difficult to.
I guess for me, I'm okay with the policy knowing what our practices are, but I get it. I don't know how to move that up to our congressional representatives to say we don't think this is great, but.
So, Mr. Piper, can you summarize or kind of just outline for us just one more time, kind of the spirit of what this is, what you have seen in practice,
Sure.
and what our options are?
So I think the impetus behind this policy changing was a state law that requires us, and rightfully so, requires us to move quickly to allow open enrollment for military families. That was the driving force behind this policy being updated. Now, like I said before, whenever policies are updated, the team of attorneys at Neola look at the policy language while they're at it to clean up any other statutes. And I think this racial balance statute is one of those that that found a better way to write it in their mind.
Okay.
But I do think this is the consideration of racial balance is for schools to have the option to control open enrollment so that they don't have one building with a heavy white population and another building with a heavy black population, for example. It would give the district some authority to have more of a racial balance in their schools, not different schools for different races.
And that's for students trying open enrolling into our district. That's what this is
Well, that's
purely
it.
if a student wants to open enroll into our district.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of
And-
what he's
and
saying.
there's a
That's
second
what their
policy.
insecurity- That's what their intent
Yeah, that's why I
was.
just want to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm.
And there's a second
Very clear.
policy that kind of speaks to 5120, I think it is more about assignment within the district and giving the district the ability to redistrict for that purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really allowing this to put the power in the district's hands if they so choose.
Yes.
And we don't choose.
We don't have the situation here in Troy where we have
Right.
racially isolated schools. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy we don't have that. I appreciate the intent of it here. However, the wording, I have a big deal about because I'm a big believer if you have a policy, you should enforce it. So I'm glad we don't have to worry about enforcing it because we're not up against any numbers. However, I can't have my name next to approving something at this level that says a kid could be denied one way or another in the future. And that's the 5113. The 5120, it also mentions racial balance. So right there, it's the same exact reasons that I spoke of for the 5113. However, I do feel like there's some conflict in this policy, even if it didn't have that I would suggest cleaned up in it. If it does get approved, it says maintain racial balance amongst the district schools, a wholesome and educationally sound balance of student population. The very next point it says, so that to me that's saying you will make sure your schools have specific numbers of specific ethnic classes. And then the very next point says, no assignment to the school's attendance or schedule shall discriminate against students on the basis of race or color, national origin, XYZ. So I don't get how you can have 2 points back to back. One says you will have racial balance, and the other one says that means you can choose based on the race, and the next one says you will not discriminate against the basis of race and color. So did you talk with anyone on that one?
Yeah, I read that more carefully, and I talked to Dr. Moore. And how we read that is that, remember that E, where it says the maintenance of racial balance amongst the district schools, falls under the section above it where it says the superintendent shall periodically review existing attendance areas and recommend to the board such changes as may be justified by the following. So what that says is that we may, from time to time, find ourselves in a situation where we need to redraw attendance zones. And this policy kind of speaks to the reasons we might do that. And racial balance is one of those reasons. Again, I think the intent here would be if we found that schools were somehow segregating themselves naturally by people moving in certain places, then we could redraw lines to make it more balanced. So if you look at it that way, and it's open to interpretation as anything is, but that would give the district the ability to, again, change attendance zone to achieve more racial balance. Having done so, then the next section. Students can't be denied based on race. You can't do it for the opposite effect. The purpose here is to achieve racial balance, not to achieve racial isolation. So the district wouldn't be able to draw lines to segregate schools or deny students enrollment to not have racial balance.
But the school is given the latitude to
Yeah.
redraw lines.
Yeah. I think it's just the proximity of those two sentences. They are different. It took me a while to kind of get there.
It's almost like they're fighting gentrification if that's
Kinda, yeah.
necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that a policy they were also looking at to clean up when you brought that to them or not?
Again, Neil is speculating that the state may take a look at this whole issue, and I think that speculation is based on some recent changes we've seen.
But speculation.
Speculation. Yeah. I don't want to say it's going to happen.
Or if it did, when.
Right.
Are there additional discussion?
No.
Do we want to, Jeff, do you want to go ahead and call the?
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
No.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Next, a motion for adoption of the 26-27 school year calendar. It is the contract between the Board of Education and TCEA, as well as the contract between the board and TCSSA. Call for the calendar to be negotiated and agreed upon. We have the 26-27 proposed calendar in our packets. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Mrs. Borchers.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Is there anything we need to know about this calendar, Mr. Piper?
A couple of things I'll point out. First, I want to thank Scott's here. I want to thank Scott, and Molly Suber sits with Scott and I periodically to talk about the calendar. And then I see Justin Cruz in here.
He was.
He was, okay. So then Molly sends that to Justin Cruz and the Teachers Association. They get feedback from their folks, and we sit and talk about it. I think sometimes the calendar just kind of falls nicely. Sometimes it's a little more difficult. I think this is one of those ones where there weren't really a whole lot of options for how it kind of breaks down, given our parameters. But it worked out nicely. We have spring break. We have 2 weeks for Christmas. The one thing I will point out, this is the calendar before we anticipate our building project being complete. So this is the last calendar before we move into the new buildings. So one of the things we did in this calendar, we've traditionally had 4 professional development days. In this particular calendar, 2 of those professional development days are the last 2 days of school. And we did that intentionally because by that time we will know which teachers are going to be going to which buildings, and that would give us an opportunity to get those staffs together for the new buildings and kind of brainstorm about how the procedures, processes are going to work for those new buildings leading into the next school year. So we feel like that would be a good chance for us to get a running start for that next year. That's really, Scott, anything else that jumps out to you?
Yeah, as you said, everything just came together.
Yeah.
Any flex time mid-year in case we need it?
We're not going to need it.
Okay.
Flex time, we're going to be fine.
Okay.
That's a
We'll be
future
on
problem.
time, everything will be
That's a potential
great.
future problem. We'll talk about that later.
Aggressive optimism.
Aggressive
That's what I
optimism,
really
yeah.
enjoy. Thank
Right.
you.
So one thing that jumped out to me was
Yeah.
the students are going to be done before Memorial Day this year.
Yeah.
In this calendar.
Mhm.
And when's the last time that happened in Troy?
years.
Is it?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Last few?
Yeah, that's
What?
true. Yeah.
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 I think it's
like
been
about every 4 years or
When I was
so.
high school principal, it happened.
Yeah.
It throws off when.
Okay, so not the last few, but it's been.
It's happened within the last few.
Okay, I don't remember it as when I've
Yeah.
looked at a
It was
calendar
like when
and
Brooke started high school.
approved.
It kind of depends on when Christmas falls. It
Yeah.
kind of messes the calendar up. This time it just kind of fit nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a pleasant surprise,
Yeah.
and students and parents will really appreciate that. And then this one, there's not a full week off for Thanksgiving.
Correct.
And the calendar that's going to come up, this coming Thanksgiving will have a full week off, right?
I can't recall.
No, I don't think
it
so.
does. I don't think so.
No, last week.
This current school year?
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, it's just, there's a lot of, I don't know, I think
It just moves, it moves
there's a
around
lot
based
of
on
moving
schedule.
pieces that it's hard to have here's what we traditionally do here. Saying that, I think it's good that we're going a full year farther in advance than we ever have done, so parents can plan for that, so.
Yep. But I appreciate both associations are great to work with, and Scott's part of that, so appreciate that.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, conversation? Okay. Mr. Price?
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Next, a motion for Exhibit E, which is our April personnel items. May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
So this might be the second highlight of the board meeting.
Mr.
Yeah.
It's a good
Dillon, what do you got?
I have some things for you. So, pretty heavy personnel agenda. I really wanted double digits and pages, but the best I could do was get it out to page 8. So, there's a lot of moving parts in this personnel agenda. A couple of highlights before we get to the real highlights. We do have some retirements, resignations. Actually, some of these are kind of fun because we have a few people that are in current positions. They're vacating those positions so that they can move into a new position, which is exciting for them. I do want to highlight Beth Marshall. She's our Director of Pupil Services. She's retiring at the end of this calendar year. So we're sad to see Beth go. She's been great to work with. We have that position posted currently. We're pretty excited about that opportunity to go through that process. We just went through another administrative hire, not stealing any thunder coming up, but it's always an exciting time when you get to see somebody who's been in education have that opportunity to do something next, and that's what Beth has. So we're excited for her. We're excited for the future for us. Otherwise, a lot of really standard items here. We'll get to some new folks that are here in the crowd with us, but 1-year contracts, 4-year contracts. We have a lot of certified renewals, supplemental renewals. There are also a slew of non-renewals as well. And so the really exciting part is to introduce some of these new people that are with us this evening. So I was trying to figure out how we were going to go about this. I think we're going to go alphabetical by building name. So Concord, you're up.
All right, this is Bara Ali, and we're very blessed to have her. It was one of those interviews where you sit down and you interview somebody, and you're like, I just want to offer the job right now on that. So she is going to be a Wright State University grad here in May. She'll be teaching ELL at Concord, and she is currently at a school in Dayton Public, the International School, so she's bringing that experience, and she was also student teaching, but also she was doing a long-term sub. She was a business teacher there for most of the year in the International School. So
Wow.
I'd like to welcome Barak Ali.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank
Welcome.
Congratulations.
We have a lot of acronyms. Just a reminder, ELL is English Language Learners. Okay.
What languages are you fluent in?
Arabic and English. A little bit of Spanish because I took it up from the kids, but not enough.
Wow.
Welcome
That's
to the
awesome.
district.
You know all the colorful words in Spanish.
Fiesta.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Except from the kids, Mr. Reddick.
That's right.
You're currently teaching an English class where?
With Al Faisal University, it's an international university in Saudi Arabia, and they're doing a pilot program for high school students to kind of focus on their grammar and their writing English. Their speaking is already great, they're high level speakers, but they want to improve their writing, and if the program does well, the Ministry of Education, their Department of Education over there will make it an annual program for them to bring in more high schoolers, to probably even send them to this country to study here.
That's great.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Dave, one more quick thing. Ron, you mind telling them who one of your instructors was at Wright State that maybe helped let you know we had an opening here?
Yeah, Professor Justin Cruz, who was.
So I was going to add that at the end. But
I'm sorry, stealing your thunder, brother.
So I will say that going to job fairs, actually that's where I met Barak, was at a job fair. So had the chance to talk with her, was really impressed, got back to the office that Monday, and I called Dan and I said, you have to get her in for an interview. So I'm really glad that this has worked out. But one of the things that I have heard consistently is from students who are coming from Wright State, many of them have Justin as a professor. He teaches down there in the evenings, and he's been quite the champion for Troy City Schools. The number of students that have come up to me that maybe weren't familiar with us, just because he had them in class and he speaks so highly of the work that we do. So if you see Justin Cruz, if anybody sees him, just be sure to say thanks. It's a really nice plug that he puts in, and I mean, Baraz's a great example of a quality candidate that we're getting because of that interaction. So
It's great.
Definitely very appreciative of Justin and all of his help with the NTPA and student teaching and finding a job. It's definitely been really supportive during this journey for me.
Good.
Mrs. Potter.
I have right here one of your very own. He's been with the district for about 7 years, but he was as a maintenance and custodial person. An interest real in the elementary students that he was working around, and decided to go ahead and pursue this. On his time off as a worker, he would go and work with our kids and use his extra time to help them with small groups and so forth. So he will be taking our 4th grade position at Cookson, and the joy and love of his life is his daughter, and she's 2. So we can't wait to get her over there. And best part of all, he lives right down the street from the school.
Oh, wow.
So we just like to say hello to Shelby Alfred.
Awesome.
Welcome.
That's
That is an
great.
amazing story. That's really
That
cool.
is. That is so cool. Congratulations. Wow.
So Shelby, another neat thing that Jenny didn't highlight is, so Shelby he's a custodian for us currently, and he was a head custodian at Hook, and reached out to me and said, hey, I've got my student teaching coming up. I'd love to be able to keep working in the district. So another thanks to Scott and the classified staff, we were able to work together so that he actually swapped shifts with, he has a brother that also is a custodian. So they traded shifts so that he could do student teaching during the day, and he works for us in the evening still as a custodian. And then we were able to hire him as a teacher. I sat down and interviewed him and realized very quickly we need to get Shelby as a teacher. And Shelby, I'll share this. It may embarrass you, it may not. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't care, because it's something that people need to hear. He told me when I talked to him that he didn't want to be hired because of the work that he did as a custodian. He wanted to be hired because he wants to be a great teacher. And so it just really resonated with me, and he's been a phenomenal employee, but he was very clear he didn't want any of that to count. He wants to be a great teacher because he thinks our kids deserve that. So just really impressive, and I'm excited to have you join us as a teacher.
Just take it easy on whoever has to clean your classroom at night. 'Cause I know I know your standards will be really high for that.
Wow, you had some long days.
Yeah.
Phew.
And he's got a 2-year-old.
And a 2-year-old, yeah.
So next up will be Mr. Aaron.
Whoa.
So Forest is privileged to get to hold the 3rd through 5th grade ED or SEL units. The K2 students that are part of that programming attend at Kyle now. It was at Haywood for a long time. The whole program was at Haywood for years, and I think this is the 4th year that it's been at Forest. It was county run for the first year, and then we took it over as a district. The current teacher is leaving that position. So I had a chance to interview. This is Erin Davis, who will be stepping into that role. She's coming to us from Warren County ESC, where she's worked with kind of like what the Cooperative Learning Center, the CLC, is with our county. She's worked with similar programming to what that is. I also have another intervention specialist job open. When I interviewed her, she did very well in the interview when I specifically asked, would you want to be in our ED-SEL room or a more general IS? And she immediately said, I want to work with the ED population. So She has a heart for working with students that have struggles and troubles with behavior. Knows that building relationships are super important. She also, I think you were an aide in the district briefly. Is that correct?
No,
No.
I work through the Miami County
Okay.
EC. My husband is an aide here.
That was my next thing.
Yeah.
Here, but I knew there was something through the county that you had, so this is the county out through us. But yeah, so her whole family's here. She's also a new mom. I think that baby in November.
Yeah, so it'll be 5 months Wednesday.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my God.
We have the youngest baby that we're gonna
What does Dr. Moore say? We're
Good for business.
good for business.
We're super excited to have Erin join our team and get a chance to work with our students.
All right, thank
Welcome,
you.
Erin.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Pretty neat connection with so Rosby Tommy does work here in this building. We now have the whole family. Turn it over to Steve.
Awesome. Welcome. Tommy's wife? Yeah, well, that's so wonderful. So welcome to the Trojan family. Thank you. Okay, so I have Brandon right here, and I have the pleasure to introduce you to your new athletic director for Troy City Schools. So, yes, we're very excited to have Brandon. It was a grueling interview process, but it was just it was wonderful because we had 121 applicants for that position, so it was pretty loud voice there about what we offer here and the kind of things that we're excited to be able to do. And so to sort through all that and make it here, we are excited about Brandon. So Brandon comes to us, one of the things that really spoke to us is his student-centered approach to not just athletics, but leadership and the entire school community. So Brandon has some pretty impressive history of fundraising and sponsorship and community connections, along with some really specific student leadership things that he's been doing. So we're just really excited to see where we can grow under Brandon's leadership. So really excited to have him. Do you want to introduce me today?
This is my wife, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
And we have 2 little kids you'll see running around everywhere. They'll be 8 and 5 when they get here. So,
And we have some good news about the home too, right?
yeah, we sold our house last week and already in contract with 1 year.
Wow.
Exciting.
Moved, so
Congratulations.
Excited,
Yeah.
excited to be part of the family.
I don't think I said from Circleville. Sorry, I should have left that. So he's currently at Circleville,
Yep.
finishing up there, and but from Miami County, both originally from Miami County, so they're very excited to be back home.
That's great.
Happy to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
Welcome.
welcome
Thank you
to
for joining
Troy.
us.
So as Alexis said, Brandon rose to the top. I have a lot of candidates, and once we started the conversation about family and just the move and those sorts of things, he mentioned that his wife is also a teacher, who also is, by the way, an intervention specialist. So don't be surprised if maybe next month we see her name on the board agenda, because I've already had a chance to talk with Courtney, and she's going to be joining the team. We need to figure out where. So we're working on that right now. But I'm really excited to have both Brandon and Courtney here. Yeah, I mentioned that they found a home, and Brandon showed up already wearing Troy apparel.
Yeah.
Well done.
How'd you pull that off so quickly? And I think we're going to be in a great position. So welcome to all of our new hires. Really appreciate you being here this evening. It's a great district. You're going to love working here, and I'm just so happy that you guys are all either continuing to be a part of this or joining us for the first time. So welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
so
Welcome,
much.
everybody. Thanks for staying through the whole meeting.
Mr. Dillon, is there anything else on here?
No other highlights, no. And there are a lot of things in this agenda. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any additional questions?
Nothing.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Borchers?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mrs. Packard?
Yes. Okay. At this point, motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or official, and conferences. Do we have a motion for executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick. Mr. Price?
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Borchers,
Yes.
Mrs. Packard.
Yes. This time we will adjourn into executive session. We will not be making any decisions. It is purely a discussion.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everyone.